Deep within the heart of Africa, in a village where the whispers of ancient spirits danced on the wind, there was a winding road known as the Serpent's Path. It slithered through dense forests and across emerald fields, connecting the remote village to the thriving town beyond. The villagers revered this road, believing it to be guarded by ancestral spirits who watched over those who traveled it. But for years, this sacred path had been tarnished by the presence of Officer Mzito, a man whose soul was as dark as the shadows cast by the trees. Officer Mzito was a corrupt policeman, feared by all who knew him. His greed was insatiable, his cruelty unmatched. He prowled the Serpent's Path like a predator, preying on travelers, extorting money, and wielding his power like a weapon. The villagers spoke of him in hushed tones, their fear palpable. But in his arrogance, Mzito believed himself untouchable, beyond the reach of both man and spirit. One sweltering afternoon, as the sun hung high in the sky, its heat pressing down like a heavy hand, a humble truck rattled along the Serpent's Path. Behind the wheel was Nuru, a well-loved driver known for his honesty and kindness. He had just delivered goods to the town and was on his way back to the village, unaware of the danger that lurked ahead. Mzito, hidden in the shadows, watched as Nuru approached. His eyes narrowed into slits, like those of a snake ready to strike. With a quick motion, he stepped into the road, forcing Nuru to slam on the brakes. The truck screeched to a halt, and dust billowed into the air, creating a haze that hung between them like an omen. Mzito swaggered over, his uniform stained with the corruption that seeped from his very being. "You've broken the law," he snarled, inventing a crime on the spot. Nuru looked up, his brow furrowed in confusion. "But officer, I've done nothing wrong," he replied, his voice steady, though his heart began to pound. But Mzito's greed was blind to the truth. He demanded money more than Nuru had ever earned in a week. When Nuru refused, Mzito's face twisted into something monstrous. In a fit of rage, he struck Nuru with the butt of his rifle. The blow was so swift, so fierce, that Nuru had no time to react. His body crumpled to the ground, lifeless before it hit the dirt. The world seemed to hold its breath. Mzito stood over Nuru's body, the realization of what he had done creeping over him like a cold sweat. Panic gripped his heart. He quickly scanned the area, his eyes wild. The road appeared deserted, the only witnesses were the trees and the whispering wind. But unseen by Mzito, Kito, an old and wise farmer, had been tending his crops not far away. The old man had seen everything from behind a thick row of banana trees, his heart heavy with sorrow for Nuru. Mzito, oblivious to Kito's presence, dragged Nuru's body into the thick underbrush. The thorns tore at his skin as he concealed the corpse among the roots and leaves. Then, with a calculated move, he shoved Nuru's truck off the road. It crashed into a tree, its front crumpled like a discarded toy. Mzito stepped back, surveying his handiwork, satisfied that it looked like a tragic accident. As Mzito hurried away, Kito silently watched from the shadows, his eyes filled with both anger and determination. He knew that confronting Mzito directly would be dangerous, but the spirits of the ancestors stirred within him, urging him to seek justice for the fallen. In the days that followed, the village mourned Nuru, believing his death to be a mere accident. Mzito feigned sympathy, even offering hollow condolences to Nuru's family. But Kito, with the wisdom of his years, set a plan in motion. He began to whisper rumors of a vengeful spirit that haunted the Serpent's Path, a spirit that sought to reveal the truth behind the mysterious death. The villagers, steeped in their ancestral beliefs, began to fear the road at night. They avoided it, speaking in hushed tones of the spirit that was said to roam in the dark. Meanwhile, Mzito grew increasingly uneasy. The whispers of the villagers crawled under his skin, and though he dismissed them as superstition, a gnawing dread began to eat away at his confidence. Kito's plan was working. The once fearless officer now jumped at shadows, his sleep disturbed by nightmares of Nuru's lifeless eyes. The villagers, curious yet fearful, gathered at Kito's suggestion for a ritual at the site of Nuru's death to appease the supposed spirit. The elders, who held great sway over the community, agreed to lead the ceremony. And so, one moonless night, with the sky as black as a crow's wing, the village gathered along the Serpent's Path, their faces illuminated by the flickering light of torches. As the elders chanted, the night air thick with the scent of burning sage, Kito stepped forward, his voice cutting through the night like a blade. He spoke of the spirit that could not rest, of a death that was not an accident but a murder most foul. The villagers, eyes wide with fear and curiosity, listened intently. Mzito stood at the back of the crowd, his heart hammering in his chest, sweat pouring down his face despite the cool night air. Then, Mzito produced a small, blood-stained button. It was a piece of Mzito's uniform, torn off in the struggle with Muru. He held it up for all to see. The gasps from the crowd were like a wave crashing against the shore. Mzito's blood ran cold as the realization dawned on him he had been seen. Just as the truth began to sink in, a chill swept through the crowd. The villagers turned to see a figure emerging from the darkness, shrouded in mist, its form barely visible in the torchlight. It was Muru, or rather, what looked like his ghostly apparition. The figure's eyes burned with an unearthly light, and it pointed directly at Mzito. The villagers recoiled in horror, some dropping to their knees in fear. Mzito's legs gave way beneath him, and he crumpled to the ground, babbling incoherently. It wasn't supposed to happen. It was an accident. He screamed, his voice high-pitched and desperate. But the figure moved closer, its steps slow and deliberate, until it stood over the cowering policeman. Mzito, however, knew the truth behind this spectral appearance. The figure was not Muru's ghost but his brother Meshael, who had disguised himself with ash and tattered cloth to bring Mzito's guilt to the surface. The ruse was perfect, and Mzito, now completely unhinged, confessed to his crime in front of the entire village, his mind broken by guilt and fear. The villagers, now fully aware of the truth, seized Mzito and stripped him of his uniform, the symbol of his corrupt power. He was banished from the village, condemned to wander the wilderness alone, haunted by the ghosts of his greed and cruelty. No one spoke a word to him as he left, and the silence that followed was as heavy as the earth itself. As for Mzito, he returned to his fields, his heart at peace. The village honored him as a hero, but he dismissed their praise, saying only that the spirits had guided him. The tale of Officer Mzito and the farmer's cunning became a legend, passed down through the generations as a warning. No man, no matter how powerful, can escape the justice of the ancestors. And on the serpent's path, it is said that if you listen closely, you can still hear the whispers of those who have crossed into the next world, reminding all who pass that the truth will always find a way to be revealed. If you love this story and would like to hear more, please like, share, and subscribe.